Hello everybody, I am Chantel and welcome to the back nine of Waterworks Disc Golf Course. So we are having a pretty good round so far. I am hitting my lines and my putting's pretty good, so I am sitting at a -6. Hole 10 is a par 3, 240 feet. This hole is pretty tricky. There is a lot of trees between you and the basket, so I'm just going to be throwing my Undertaker, and in the middle of this hole there is basically a lake. It was really flooded, so I just really needed to get this through all the trees, and that was perfect. It faded a little bit, which I knew it would, but I'm still looking at a putt for my birdie. And I just chained out left, didn't put enough on it, but it's close enough for my par. Hole 11 is a par 3, 226 feet. This is either a sidearm or a turnover shot, so I'm going to be throwing my Sting. And this is also a really flooded hole, so all the middle is just all water. And I left that just a little too wide. Everything else was pretty good, but as you can see, I found the little river. So we are just going to play that OB because I am not going to be throwing from in there. So we decided that this little branch would be a perfect little drop zone, so I'm just going to be flicking my zone up to the basket. And for some reason I babied that and I left myself with a pretty long putt for my bogey. But it's no problem. I corrected from the last one. So my first bogey of the round. Hole 12 is a par 3, 223 feet. This hole is, what is this hole? I forget. Oh yes, okay, so there's a very tight gap off the tee. I'm just going to be throwing my my G-Star Mako 3, and I'm basically just trying to get through the gap and hope it keeps straight. And I get it a little nose up there, but it gets through most of it. So I think this is outside the circle. Yeah, that wasn't a very good putt, but it's close, so that's okay. Hole 13 is a par 3, 167 feet. And this hole is pretty difficult. There's a lot of trees. It's really short, but there's so many trees. So I'm just trying to throw my Judge on an Anheuser and hope that it gets through. But it hits a tree, and now I don't really have a clear line to the basket, so I'm just trying to straddle out and jump putt something close enough to the basket. But I threw it straight in the air, so I hit some branches and it knocks me down, and now I have another outside the circle putt for my par. Oh, and I thought it was good, but just pulled it a little right. So I am getting my second bogey on this short little hole. If you don't hit your line, you know, you're gonna be punished. Hole 14 is a par 3, 244 feet. This hole is pretty difficult to me. It is a hyzer line, but I still don't really know where to aim. I think I'm aiming kind of towards, there's like a darker tree in the back with like a Y branch. I'm throwing my Thunderbird on a hyzer and just hoping it gets through something. And it got through most of it. I'm pretty short of the basket, but I'm happy if I don't hit the trees right off the tee. So now I'm just gonna be putting something up close to the basket. And close enough. Don't want any more bogeys. Hole 15 is a par 3, 176 feet. This is just I think this is like a kind of a turnover shot. I'm going to be throwing my Judge. Yeah, it's just a slight turnover. A lot of trees once again. And I thought that was really good, but I just hit one of the trees on the left. So it knocks me down and I'm left with this little turnover upshot, which I turned that over way too much. Oh, these trees are getting to me. So now I have this putt. There's 3 trees blocking the basket. So I'm putting with my zone. Oh my gosh, and I was so happy. I didn't want another bogey. Yeah, I just needed it to fade more around that tree, so I'm glad that I chose to putt with my zone there. Okay, hole 16 is a par 3, 176 feet. This hole looks like it's a straight gap, which you could totally go straight up the gap, but I'm just gonna be throwing my Judge on like a hyzer line. It's more open. But once you get to the basket, there's just a couple things that you have to just hopefully get by, which it fights pretty good. So I think I have a 20-foot putt for my birdie. And I'm glad I got that one. Try to stop the bleeding. Hole 17 is a par 3, 162 feet. I don't know if this is a turnover shot or a sidearm. I think both could work. So I'm throwing my Thunderbird. I'm just trying to flick it around that tree and keep it kind of high so that it can fade toward the basket. But that was just a little too high and I hit one of the branches. And it knocks me down into this pile. I don't even know, it's like a bush. So I have to like straddle out and do some kind of weird anhyzer upshot. And it's still a little short and I have this weird tree blocking my putt, so I'm gonna be doing like an anhyzer putt. And that just stuck. So that was a good cleanup for my par. And I got a soaker. Hole 18 is a par 3, 211 feet. I love this hole. It's just a straight pump up the middle. I'm going to be throwing my Leopard 3, and I just want it to turn just slightly and then have a finish at the end. Oh, and it was so good. I was so happy with that. And I have a relatively short putt for my birdie. It's always exciting to finish off the round with a birdie. Makes you feel good. Okay, so we are finishing up at a -6. So we took a couple bogeys on the back. There's too many trees back here. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one.